Welcome, guys, to Metallidium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Hiraes, this new album, Dorman, on obvious more things related to the metal world. We'll start by asking, I think, with a common question: how has the band been during the last 3 years? And also, your first album, Solitaire, was released in 2021, and we have a new album upcoming. Well, new album, Dormant.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, our first album, Solitary, was released during the pandemic, and after, like, right at the spot where we could, we started playing live and touring as hell. So, Hiraes has gained a lot of experience in the live sector over the last 3 years, I would say. And yeah, Dormant, his second album, is coming out on January 26th. So, yeah, we've been busy. It doesn't feel like 3 years.
Well, yeah, that is true. So now you are continuing to working with Napalm Records for the second time since the first album. So how was the experience again? When I remember that I asked you both at the interview that we have in 2021. So how was the experience to work with this big label as a new band in 2021? But you are now with them more than 4 years. So how was the experience to work with them for the second time? And what kind of experience did you receive since the beginning to now with them?
Yeah, to work with Napalm Records is a big honor for us, or was a big honor for us in the beginning, and still is because it's such a big label, and it really gives us so many opportunities. I mean, the YouTube channel has so many followers, and when we release our videos, then the people comment on our videos, the people watch our videos, and in general, what they're doing for us, all this promotion stuff and something like that, we really appreciate that. And yeah, we would not have been where we are right now without this huge label, I would say. And yeah, we're really happy about their work and to have a strong partner on our side. And are really happy that they were also willing to release our second album. And yeah, we're looking forward to the future collaboration with them and hope that it will stay like it is right now.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now, well, it's easy. For me, it's very easy to denote the changes between solitary to dormant because I'm a reviewer, interviewer. So it's for me, it's more easily because I'm working doing this. But for you who are in the band and composing the lyrics, composing the music in general. So for you, what is the biggest difference that exists compared in this new album compared to the previous one, Solitary?
First of all, like the way we wrote comes to mind, or the not the way we wrote, but the mindset we were writing in, because yeah, writing dormant, it happened in a time where we already had some live experience together as a band, so it was easier for us to, try to capture that live energy that we had with our fans over the tours and gigs that we played, and kind of like capture it and bring it onto the album and have it in mind and in the guts as we were writing. So everything that had to be imagined for a future band, Hiraes, when we wrote the first record, was now kind of like already there and more graspable. So from that point of view, I think that's yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Other aspects that I don't know in this new album, especially is that you still working with the well, you did the both cover arts. So why do you do Britta, you did the both cover arts? So why did you decide to do the cover arts and not like mostly of the bands try to do with over the cover art to see?
Well, for several reasons. One reason was that we as a band, as a collective, had an idea of how the cover should look like the idea of the mountain and the reflection. I think Lukas had the idea in the first place, and we really loved it, and that it reflects in the water. And so, with that clear picture in mind, when you go shopping downtown and you have a clear picture in mind what you want to have, you will not find it unless you kind of like make it yourself. So, with that clear picture in mind, we decided that we wanted to do it ourselves. And since I'm like from a skill perspective, like using Photoshop and all that, since I am able to do that, I thought, wow, maybe I'm brave enough to take on the responsibility to do the artwork this time. myself, and yeah, it was an exhausting process because we didn't have much time left, but it was also a fun process to see it kind of emerging.
Okay, okay. Other aspect, and is especially for the promotion for this new album, for this new album, Dorman. What kind of plans do you have to promote this new album? I saw that you will play in an extensive European tour and the track 3 or 4 days upcoming. So you were with a lot of bands more. So apart of this tour, what kind of plans do you have to promote much better this album? Perhaps you will embark to Latin America for the first time, or perhaps you played in US. Who knows?
Yeah, of course, we have a lot of plans, but yeah, just before the release, we released today we released our third single, and this is also part of the promotion phase, I would say. But yeah, when the album comes out, we will kick off our small release tour and play some headline shows. And in late February and March, we will support the Czech band or the band from the Czech Republic, Dimitri, on their 5 Angry Men tour, and we also have some shows confirmed for summer and for autumn. And yeah, of course, we're aiming or we're looking at especially at the autumn time when many tours are around, that maybe we can hop on there and play a nightliner tour, something like that. And yeah, of course, we would love to come to the United States or to Brazil, to South America. It would be awesome, but there are no fixed plans yet. But yeah, we already talked with our booking agency that we would love to come there one day in the future. And yeah, as we gain popularity, then maybe the possibility rises that we will play a tour in that area. And yeah, as I said, we would love to come overseas and play some shows there, or even a tour and support a big band maybe, and yeah, have a great time. But yeah, there are no fixed plans yet. But yeah, we hope to do it in the future, maybe in the not so far future, and would be awesome to do it.
Okay. Other aspect that I didn't know, especially in your country, in Germany, is that the melodic death metal, like in a Swedish style, play hit hard since the beginning. Because I remember Nightingales, one of the melodic death metal bands, big in, I think, in Deutsch. So that's interesting. So now, what do you think the melodic death metal from Swedish has a big impact into the German scene?
Yeah, I think Scandinavia is not that far away from here, especially Sweden, but of course also the other Scandinavian countries. And yeah, I think many German bands and many musicians are fascinated by the music and the energy that comes from the music, and simply get inspired from these vibes, these Scandinavian vibes or these Swedish vibes in the music, and of course would like to also employ them in their music. I would not say that we are a band that plays music in a Swedish style. We have Swedish influences, but are not that like just like not like copying the bands from Sweden. We have many influences from that area, but there are also influences from Finland, for example, which is not that far away from Sweden. But yeah, we have many many different influences, not just from Scandinavia, but yeah, I think what I already said, many bands from Germany, are really inspired by this gloomy and melodic atmosphere that all these bands carry, and want to uh, embed that into their own music. And yeah, this might be one of the major reasons why many German bands also have some Swedish touch in their music.
Mhm. Okay. One question that is inevitable to ask: How do you feel about the first album? And as you can see, and like a retro idea to see at that time. I did the perception differently than now. And how do you see that all album compared to this new one? Do you think that you grow as a musician, or perhaps you are still growing perhaps with the music?
I hope that both is the case. I mean, um, as musicians, you probably always try to make a better album, or at least like a different album than before, that you don't repeat yourself, and then you kind of make progress in your artistic development. So I think when I reflect back on Solitary, what comes to mind first of all is that um, we wrote both albums um, and poured our heart and soul into it. But maybe Solitary is more like somewhere between the head and the heart, and then Dormant is more like between the heart and the guts. You know, it's a little bit more almost physical. In the experience. So, and I think I come back again to the topic of the live experience. I think Dormant is an album that screams live shows, while on Solitary, the overall feel for playing live was kind of like gone with the wind for a couple of years. So maybe that was more like an internal reflection, and Dormant is more extrovert, so to speak. So I don't think in terms of one album is better than the other, but I think in both different kind of ways we got pretty close to the core. But let's see what the future has for Hiraes. I mean, like we always want to write a better, denser, I don't know, more energetic album. Who knows?
Okay, I ask this question because usually when a band release their first album, they're more younger. They don't have experience to play, to record, to this kind of to record music, writing music. This is normally because it's your first album. Let's go. Is your first album. But when the time pass, you still growing well, as a musician. You play much better, you compose much better, you do a lot of things much better than the previous album. But in this case, the fan thinks differently because the fans prefers the rawness from the first album. Because at that time you play different, like now, because you are much better musician than the first album. That's normally you need to grow up. But the fans stick with the first album. Especially, I think you are a fans of metal, and I think you prefer just the first two albums or the first three albums for your favorite bands. That because you prefer the rawness or the experience that the band has at the beginning. But now, as I mentioned, the fans think differently. So, and the question goes to, what do you think about the bands when they grow up as a musician, as a composer, lose the essence of the rawness that you like in the first two albums, or the fans likes in the first two albums?
First of all, I want to point out that I do not agree with what you said, that the fans love the first album and the second one and the rawness. I think, at least for me, it's that I love the albums that I fell in love with the first time when I got to know the band. But very often the bands have already evolved, and maybe it's the fifth album and I come across the band, then this will be forever the defining album for me, for that band where I fell in love. You know what I mean? It's not that it has to be the first album and they can't change. So that's my impression of that. And then the other thing is that I understand when people stick to their roots or where they found love for a certain band, but on the other hand, um, artists artists are not servants. So you kind of have to, even if it breaks your heart and then an artist develops into a direction that you cannot follow them, that's absolutely okay. But you kind of have to let them go and grow, because as an artist, you don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to be time stamped being 15 forever. You know, you want to embrace your 30s, you want to embrace your 40s, and you want to embrace your 50s. And as a 15-year-old person, you don't have the same emotions as a 15-year-old. So I think that's kind of the natural development. I don't know, Lukas, how it is for you, but
Yeah, it all makes sense what you just said. But yeah, I can understand the general argument for bands like, for example, I don't know, like Metallica or something. The first albums are really yeah, different from what they are making today, and yeah, but it's a highly individual thing, I would say. What Britta already said is really, if you get into a band at a later stage, then maybe this is the first album for you, and you also discover the older albums and may like them, but this fifth or sixth album might be the first one for you, and you love it and love everything that happens after it. And yeah, it's really hard to generalize this. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's
Great.
better than in a relationship. In a relationship, when you fall in love with a person and you know, like it happens to be a relationship where the love kind of like drains out slowly. The person that you fell in love with, that you thought this person was in the beginning of the relationship, suddenly cease to exist. But with bands, it's like you can still listen to the first album even when they're on their 12th. So like the music is kind of captured. So like, I don't know, just stick with that. That's no problem.
Great. Well, no, that is true. That is true. So, well, guys, the sad times arrived at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. This album is a great one. Congratulations on this new Dorman. It's a great one, as I mentioned it. And also, perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallica followers?
Yeah, we can just add that we would love to come to Latin America one day in the future, and we really receive so many positive reactions, especially from that geographical area on social media, and people are really asking for it. And hey, when do you come to Brazil? And when do you come to all those other countries? And we hope that one day in the future, and as I said, in the not so far future, that we will finally come to this wonderful country and play some shows there. It's really, yeah, it has to happen.